The story opens on a glittering evening in Boston, where one of the city's most sought-after charity galas brings together the region's wealthy elite. Beneath towering chandeliers and walls adorned with imported blossoms, a subtle tension lingers in the air, masked by the refined notes of a string quartet and the polite laughter of guests. The event, staged in a historic hotel, promises more than just opulence. It is an annual display of status, expectation, and silent rivalries among the city's most influential families. Within this world of privilege, fates will collide and lives will change, as the night's beauty stands poised to conceal the first seeds of upheaval. The spotlight of the evening shone on two very different women whose paths were about to collide. Victoria Hartwell, the epitome of high society privilege, carried herself with an air of entitlement earned through birth and marriage. As the wife of a real estate magnate, her life was a carousel of charity luncheons, spa days, and extravagant shopping sprees, all lived behind a mask of flawless elegance. Her beauty was matched only by the sharpness of her tongue and the cold calculation in her eyes. In stark contrast, Jasmine Washington moved through the gala like a quiet force. Young, resilient, and graceful. At just 24, she balanced the demands of an MBA program at Harvard with the responsibility of supporting her family. Her natural hair was neatly styled, and her every movement bespoke the strength of someone who had faced adversity head-on. Working as a waitress for the event was a necessity, a job taken to ensure she could continue her education and help those she loved. The two women could not have been more different on the surface, yet they shared an unspoken bond of determination. Victoria's rooted in maintaining control and status, Jasmine's in rising beyond the challenges life had dealt her. Their encounter would spark a storm neither expected, setting the stage for a night where privilege and resilience would clash under the gleam of crystal chandeliers. The night of the charity gala unfolded in breathtaking grandeur at one of Boston's most prestigious hotels. Crystal chandeliers glittered like constellations overhead, casting a soft glow over tables adorned with exquisite orchids imported from far-flung places. The air buzzed with the gentle melodies of a string quartet, providing a polished soundtrack to the mingling of the city's high society. Glasses clinked as impeccably dressed guests in evening gowns and tuxedos networked beneath ornate ceilings. Each conversation laced with polite smiles and subtle undertones of rivalry. The event, an annual gathering of Boston's elite, was a celebration of philanthropy wrapped in layers of opulence, a stage where influence was wielded as skillfully as the finest wine was poured. Amidst the elegance and luxury, unseen tensions simmered as old alliances were tested and new ambitions quietly kindled. This night of refinement laid the perfect backdrop for dramas yet to unfold, where the collision of wealth, power, and determination would spark a chain of events to remember. Jasmine Washington entered the charity gala with a purposeful grace that belied her youth and the pressures she carried. At just 24 years old, she was more than a mere waitress on the job that evening. She was a determined Harvard MBA student working hard to support her family and pay for her final semester. Her natural hair was neatly gathered into an elegant bun, and her sharp, focused eyes revealed the inner strength molded by years of overcoming challenges. The job at the gala was a necessity, a stepping stone in Jasmine's relentless pursuit of a better future. Balancing rigorous academic demands with long hours serving the city's elite, she moved with quiet confidence, embodying the grace of someone who had long been comfortable bearing heavy responsibilities. Though the venue glittered with opulence and promise, Jasmine's presence was a reminder that beneath the surface of luxury, there existed stories of resilience and hope. This night, she was not just a server. She was the quiet force poised to challenge the assumptions of the world around her. Victoria Hartwell embodied the quintessential socialite, born into privilege and refined by years of wealth and power. As the wife of a successful real estate tycoon, Her life revolved around exclusive charity events, designer boutiques, and luxurious indulgences. She thrived on status and control, her confidence fueled by an upbringing that taught her the world belonged to those who dared to claim it. Often charming and magnetic in public, Victoria concealed a sharp, ruthless edge beneath her polished exterior. She wielded her social standing like a weapon, quickly turning on anyone she deemed beneath her or threatening to disrupt her carefully curated image. To her, charity was less about compassion and more about maintaining appearances and reinforcing hierarchies. Victoria's motivations were deeply rooted in preserving her lifestyle and dominance within elite circles. She viewed moments of vulnerability or challenge, not as opportunities for growth, but as weaknesses to be exploited. Determined to uphold her status at any cost, she saw Jasmine, the young waitress, not as a person, but as an obstacle to be publicly humiliated, ensuring that her superiority went unquestioned. This combination of entitlement, sharp intellect, and social cunning made Victoria a force to be reckoned with, dangerous, unapologetically proud, and unapologetically cruel. The atmosphere between Victoria and Jasmine crackled with underlying tension from the very start. Though Jasmine carried herself with quiet dignity and purpose, it quickly became clear that Victoria regarded her as nothing more than a disposable servant. The first sparks flew when Jasmine accidentally dropped a glass, and Victoria seized the moment to belittle her loudly. Victoria's sharp words, laced with condescension and thinly veiled racism, drew the attention of nearby guests eager for a spectacle. She made cruel remarks about Jasmine's place and education, deliberately humiliating her under the gaze of Boston's elite. Jasmine, however, met each insult with calm composure, refusing to let anger or shame break her resilience. This initial confrontation was less a momentary clash and more a declaration, a battle of wills that exposed the chasm between privileged entitlement and steadfast resolve. The entire gala seemed to hold its breath as the subtle war played out, an unspoken promise that these two women's paths would collide again, much more fiercely. At the height of the gala's elegance, the evening took a sharp turn toward public spectacle and humiliation when Victoria's cruel intentions came to the fore. As a waiter accidentally brushed close to her, Victoria saw an opportunity to exhibit her superiority. A glass of red wine slipped from her grasp, splattering violently across Jasmine's pristine white dress, leaving a glaring contrast like blood on fresh snow. Victoria's eyes glittered with malice as she watched Jasmine scramble to dab at the spreading stain. "Oops," she said with faux innocence, her smile sharp and calculating. "It's such a shame that some people haven't mastered the art of moving gracefully in refined settings." Her words rang through the room, loudly enough to draw attention from nearby guests. The subtle murmurs and uncomfortable glances quickly turned into fixed stares as the crowd witnessed the unfolding scene. One woman's harsh assertion of power against another's quiet, undeterred poise. This public shaming was no accident, but a carefully executed display designed to belittle Jasmine. Yet beneath the surface, what seemed like humiliation was about to ignite a deeper reckoning, as Jasmine's strength and dignity began turning the tide of that fateful night. As the evening progressed, whispers and knowing glances spread swiftly through the gathered guests, much like a ripple effect of rumor and intrigue. The scene that Victoria and Jasmine had created was quickly morphing into a buzzing spectacle beyond the immediate interaction, a gossip storm that would ripple throughout Boston's social circles. Guests, with their finely tuned senses for scandal, began exchanging hushed comments and sharp observations. Some whispered about Jasmine's unexpected composure under Victoria's attack, admiring her dignity amid the chaos. Others speculated about the real reason behind Victoria's cruelty, weaving a narrative of envy and insecurity fueling her actions. The story of the wine spill and Victoria's vicious remarks spilled beyond the ballroom. It was the topic of conversations around hors d'oeuvres, in elevators, and over dinner tables the following days. Meanwhile, the social circle's collective rumor mill started spinning faster. Social media was abuzz with sarcastic posts and memes about the dramatic scene. Influential socialites shared snippets, rewritten headlines, and hot takes about the unexpected heroism of the young waitress. Victoria's reputation, already fragile after the incident, began to crumble subtly but irreversibly. In the quiet corners, a new narrative was taking shape, one that painted Jasmine not just as a victim, but as a symbol of resilience and quiet strength. Her dignity, her calmness, and her refusal to be crushed under Victoria's cruelty transformed her into an unexpected hero in the eyes of many observers. The gossip was spilling over with admiration for her poise and resolve, sowing seeds of admiration among those who had initially dismissed her. Victoria, at the center of the storm, felt her influence slipping away with every whisper and every post. She could see her social standing, her carefully curated reputation, fading rapidly in the glow of her own cruelty, famous for her revenge, despised for her arrogance. The gossip soon shifted from the incident itself to the women behind it, fueling speculation about who Jasmine really was and what her future might hold. The storm of gossip was no longer just a fleeting moment. It was the beginning of a transformation that would ripple far beyond the walls of the gala. Jasmine's inner response to the public humiliation was marked by remarkable resilience and quiet strength. Despite the sting of Victoria's cruel actions and harsh words echoing through the opulent hall, Jasmine remained composed, grounded by a deep sense of purpose and self-worth. She understood that reacting with anger or despair would only feed the spectacle Victoria sought. So instead, Jasmine drew upon years of experience facing adversity with calm determination. Raised by a single mother who worked tirelessly through multiple jobs, Jasmine had learned early that true power lies in observing, enduring, and acting with strategic patience rather than impulsive emotion. Holding her head high, she carefully controlled her feelings, channeling them into a steady professionalism that caught the eyes of many around her. Jasmine's ability to maintain dignity in the face of open hostility was not just an act of survival. It was a testament to her character, silently demanding respect and challenging the very prejudices aimed to undermine her. Behind her calm exterior, Jasmine's mind was clear and focused, already plotting how to turn this moment of injustice into a catalyst for meaningful change. Every insult was quietly noted, every whisper recorded, fueling a growing determination that this night would mark the beginning, not the end, of her journey toward justice. Robert Hartwell stood quietly at the edge of the gala, observing the unfolding scene with careful eyes. His decades of experience as a successful real estate developer and social figure had trained him to notice what others missed, how people behaved when they thought no one was truly watching. As he watched Victoria's public attack on Jasmine, Robert's expression hardened with a mix of disappointment and anger. While the crowd focused on the spectacle, he saw two contrasting truths: the cold cruelty of his wife, openly displayed for all to see, and the quiet strength and grace of the young waitress, who refused to be broken despite the humiliation. Behind his calm exterior, Robert was making mental notes. This was not a moment for simple judgment, but for deeper reflection. He understood that Victoria's actions were driven by deep insecurities and a desperate need to preserve her social dominance. At the same time, he recognized Jasmine as someone far beyond the surface, a steady, intelligent young woman who carried herself with dignity and resilience earned through hardship. Robert's silent observation marked the beginning of a personal reckoning, one that would soon challenge the alliances he had long taken for granted and reshape the future of his family and business. Jasmine's life was a testament to resilience and determination, shaped by her humble beginnings and a strong sense of responsibility. Raised by a single mother who worked tirelessly through multiple jobs to support Jasmine and her siblings, Jasmine grew up understanding the value of hard work and sacrifice from an early age. Despite limited resources, Jasmine excelled academically, earning a place at the prestigious University of Chicago where she studied economics. She later secured a spot in Harvard's MBA program, driven by a fierce ambition to create a better future for herself and her family. Alongside her studies, she juggled jobs, waitressing at high-profile events like the Gala, to fund her education and help provide for her family's needs. Her upbringing instilled in Jasmine a mature sense of responsibility far beyond her years. She managed household finances as a teenager and took on the role of translator for her mother, navigating the complexities of legal documents to help her family survive and thrive. Every step of her journey demonstrated a quiet but unwavering strength, balancing academic brilliance with the realities of life's hardships. This background of perseverance under pressure gave Jasmine the inner fortitude to face the evening's challenges not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity to rise above and prove her worth, regardless of the prejudices around her. Victoria intensified her onslaught with a series of pointed insults, each one sharper and more personal than the last. No longer content with subtle digs, she made sure her words were heard clearly throughout the room, aimed to provoke and diminish Jasmine's confidence. With a theatrical sweep of her hand, Victoria derided Jasmine's upbringing, education, and even her very presence at the gala. "Perhaps you don't quite understand the importance of discretion at events like this," she sneered, her voice dripping with condescension. "It's people like you who disrupt the polished image we strive so hard to maintain." Victoria's friends quickly rallied around her, their voices joining in to reinforce the put-downs, adding layers of privilege-fueled judgment and thinly veiled racism. They mocked Jasmine's role and suggested she didn't belong in such esteemed company, their collective snobbery reinforcing a vicious social hierarchy. Despite the barrage, Jasmine remained composed, her calm replies and steady gaze disarming the aggressors and unsettling the audience. But the atmosphere thickened with tension. Victoria's cruelty had become a spectacle, a public display of dominance designed to shame and silence. This escalation exposed the depths of entitlement Victoria wielded and set the tone for the intense clash of wills that would define the night. During the gala, Victoria attempted to humiliate Jasmine further by challenging her knowledge in front of the crowd. With a dramatic flourish, Victoria handed Jasmine the event menu, intent on exposing a gap in her education or making her stumble over the sophisticated French culinary terms. To everyone's surprise, Jasmine accepted the challenge with steady hands and a composed smile. Her voice confident and clear, she began reading the menu flawlessly, pronouncing the complex French words with an elegance and precision that silenced the crowd. It was immediately clear that Jasmine's talents reached far beyond her role as a waitress. Her upbringing and education had granted her a sophistication and grace that caught many off guard. This unexpected display not only stunned Victoria and her socialite friends, but also shifted the dynamic in the room. Jasmine's poise and knowledge challenged their preconceived notions and highlighted the arrogance behind their assumptions. It was a pivotal moment that hinted at the deeper strength and intelligence hidden beneath Jasmine's humble exterior. As Jasmine began to read the complex French menu with fluid confidence and flawless pronunciation, a hush fell over the gathered crowd. Faces once filled with smug amusement shifted to expressions of surprise and bewilderment. The socialites, expecting an embarrassed stumble or a shy silence, were instead met with precision and poise that defied their assumptions. Murmurs rippled through the room as guests exchanged glances, whispering to one another about Jasmine's unmistakable command of the language and the culture hidden behind the culinary terms. Some glanced with newfound respect, recognizing that the young woman they had underestimated possessed an education and sophistication far beyond her role as a waitress. Victoria's face paled at the unexpected display, her plan to humiliate Jasmine unraveling in real time. The women surrounding her exchanged awkward looks, some visibly unsure how to respond to this revelation. The mood in the room shifted perceptibly, no longer a performance of dominance, but an exposure of arrogance and false superiority. This moment was pivotal. Jasmine's unexpected knowledge not only silenced her detractors, but also turned the tide of power, making it clear that intelligence and dignity could rise in the most unlikely places, challenging the status quo with quiet strength. Amid the unfolding cruelty, Jasmine discreetly reached into her pocket and activated a small digital recorder she always carried for her MBA thesis on racial discrimination. Her hands, though steady in appearance, trembled slightly with the adrenaline of the moment. Every word Victoria uttered, the insults, the slurs, the humiliation, was captured in crystal clear audio, providing undeniable evidence of the blatant prejudice woven into the evening's spectacle. This recording was not a spontaneous reaction, but a carefully prepared act, born of years spent documenting subtle and overt discrimination in corporate and social environments. Jasmine knew the power of proof and the weight that concrete evidence carried, especially against those cloaked in privilege. As Victoria continued her tirade, unaware of the silent witness to her cruelty, Jasmine's resolve grew stronger. This recording would be her shield and sword, not just for herself, but for others who had suffered in silence. It was the first step in turning humiliation into empowerment, and a crucial act of resistance within the glittering walls of the elite gala. After the gala, Robert Hartwell sought a private moment with Jasmine away from the prying eyes of the crowd. His demeanor was calm but purposeful, the weight of witnessing his wife's cruelty and Jasmine's dignity demanding a response deeper than public words. In the hushed quiet of a side corridor, Robert approached Jasmine with an air of respect and concern. He apologized sincerely for the behavior she'd endured, expressing his regret that the evening had been marred by such unkindness. He looked at her not as a server, but as a young woman of remarkable composure and strength. Their conversation quickly moved beyond superficial niceties. Robert shared his observations and quietly acknowledged the courage it took for Jasmine to face the hostility with unwavering poise. He probed gently, seeking to understand her background and motivations, surprised to learn of her academic achievements and the hardships she'd overcome. This private encounter marked the beginning of an unexpected alliance, a moment where empathy replaced judgment and possibilities for change quietly took root. Robert's respect for Jasmine grew, setting the stage for a transformation that would challenge old power structures and herald a new chapter for both. Jasmine's true identity and background unfolded during a private conversation with Robert Hartwell, shattering the assumptions held by many at the gala. A brilliant Harvard MBA student, she juggled the demands of a rigorous academic program with the responsibility of financially supporting her family. Raised in a challenging environment, Jasmine had already displayed exceptional discipline and determination, excelling academically while managing household finances from a young age. Her story was one of quiet resilience, overcoming obstacles through hard work, intellect, and unwavering resolve. The waitress serving at a high society charity gala was not merely a server. She was a future consultant in the making, armed with both the education and life experience to challenge systemic prejudice from within. Robert, hearing Jasmine's story firsthand, realized the depth of her potential and the injustice of the cruelty she had endured. It was a revelation that would not only alter his perception of the evening's events, but also motivate him to seek real change within his own sphere of influence. Recognizing Jasmine's intelligence and strength during their private conversation, Robert Hartwell took a decisive step that would change both their lives. With genuine respect and a commitment to transformation, he offered Jasmine a position at his real estate company, a role focused on auditing and improving the organization's diversity, equity, and inclusion practices. He explained that the firm was actively seeking to move beyond superficial diversity efforts and embrace meaningful change. Robert believed that Jasmine's unique background, academic expertise, and personal experience made her the ideal candidate to lead this initiative and make a lasting impact on the company's culture. This unexpected opportunity was not merely a gesture of goodwill. It was a strategic recognition of Jasmine's potential to drive progress and accountability within a traditionally rigid industry. For Jasmine, the offer represented not just career advancement, but a chance to challenge systemic prejudice from a position of influence. The decision marked the beginning of a partnership that would confront entrenched biases and open pathways for many others, turning a night of humiliation into a foundation for justice and reform. News of the incident spread like wildfire beyond the gala's elegant walls. Social media platforms buzzed with discussions, sharing of videos, and heated debates about the public humiliation that had unfolded under the spotlight. The recorded audio of Victoria's derogatory comments leaked, sparking outrage and widespread condemnation from a diverse audience. Local news outlets picked up the story, and soon the scandal was the talk of Boston and beyond. Headlines accused the socialite of blatant racism and exposed the dark underbelly of elitist circles that often hid behind polished facades. Public discourse surged around issues of discrimination, privilege, and the ongoing struggles faced by minorities in elite environments. Victoria's carefully maintained reputation began to unravel as sponsors distanced themselves and social admiration evaporated. Invitations to exclusive events were revoked, her social media faced backlash, and a rising chorus demanded accountability. At the same time, Jasmine was hailed as a symbol of resilience and dignity, her story inspiring many who saw in her a reflection of their own battles against systemic injustice. The scandal had struck a chord far deeper than anyone at the gala could have imagined, a moment that would not only change lives, but also ignite conversations for true reform. Victoria Hartwell's carefully constructed world began to unravel rapidly after the scandal erupted. Once celebrated in exclusive circles, she found herself facing harsh consequences both publicly and privately. The leaked audio, capturing her venomous words of racial disdain, ignited a firestorm of condemnation across social platforms and news outlets. Invitations to high-profile events were rescinded, sponsors withdrew endorsements, and her social media presence became a battleground of criticism and calls for accountability. Friends distanced themselves, unwilling to be associated with the fallout from her actions. At home, Robert Hartwell, once patient and tolerant, reached a breaking point. Years of enduring Victoria's ruthless and prejudiced ways had culminated in a declaration of change. The marriage, long strained under the weight of her cruelty, was now over. Robert publicly confirmed his commitment to diversity and inclusion by fully supporting Jasmine's new role within the company, signaling a clear repudiation of Victoria's attitudes. Isolated and disgraced, Victoria was left to confront the empty shell of her former life, bereft of influence, respect, and the social standing she had fiercely protected. The scandal served as a harsh reminder of the fragility of privilege when exposed to the unforgiving light of truth and justice. Jasmine stepped into her new role at Hartwell Development with a quiet determination to bring meaningful change. As the company's lead diversity and inclusion consultant, she quickly began evaluating the firm's culture, policies, and practices with a critical eye shaped by her academic research and lived experience. Her goal was clear: to move beyond surface-level gestures and implement sustainable reforms that would foster true equity and belonging. She initiated comprehensive audits of hiring procedures, promotion practices, and workplace interactions, working closely with leaders and employees alike to identify barriers and biases. Jasmine implemented training programs designed to raise awareness about unconscious prejudice and microaggressions, promoting a culture where respect and inclusivity could thrive. Beyond internal reforms, Jasmine championed outreach efforts to diversify the company's recruitment pipeline, partnering with universities and community organizations to attract talent from underrepresented backgrounds. Her efforts were met with a mix of curiosity, skepticism, and growing support, but her professionalism and results began to shift attitudes company-wide. In less than a month, Jasmine transformed from the quiet waitress humiliated at the gala into a respected leader, spearheading a cultural revolution at one of the city's most influential companies. Her success served as a testament to the power of resilience and the impact one person could make when given the opportunity and platform. Jasmine's journey from waitress to corporate leader marked the beginning of a transformative chapter at Hartwell Development. Embracing her role as the company's head of diversity and inclusion, she set out to foster meaningful change within the firm's culture and practices. Her first months were defined by comprehensive audits of recruitment, promotion, and workplace policies. Jasmine implemented robust training programs to raise awareness about bias and microaggressions, encouraging an environment of respect and accountability. She also prioritized outreach initiatives to bring in diverse talent, partnering with educational institutions and community groups. Jasmine's work was met with a mixture of curiosity, resistance, and growing acceptance. However, her professionalism and the tangible improvements she spearheaded quickly gained support across departments. Her efforts not only improved workplace morale and equity, but also enhanced the company's reputation as a forward-thinking leader in the industry. Through strategic leadership and persistent advocacy, Jasmine turned a night of personal humiliation into a catalyst for systemic transformation, inspiring others and reshaping the company into a more inclusive and just environment.